Well, Lorraine, I'm so excited. We're streaming live. Happy technology. Okay. Good morning, LinkedIn and Facebook, and anywhere that you all are seeing this. My name is Michelle Oliver, and I'm your host today. I want to welcome you to Talk About TV. And this is where we talk about all things experiential outdoor hospitality. And I love our meetings together, Lorraine. Today I have Lorraine Woodard from Becoming rentABLE, and we're going to talk about something that is just, it's monumental. It's your partnership with, why don't you tell everyone? With who?
With Expedia and
Yeah.
Verbo. I know it is
Congratulations. Like
thank you.
this really, well, you're going to tell us what it does because what the implications are for you, for them, for everyone in the space and then outdoor hospitality. But it is a game changer for everyone and a big opportunity. So tell us.
It is a game changer, in so many different fronts. One, I mean, we look at Expedia, they're one of the world's largest hospitality technology company. I mean, here we are, this small little company in Raleigh, North Carolina, working in this
All
big
the
platform.
impactful and meet, like the purpose is not small. So you're not small.
Right. The purpose isn't, and I really credit, it's been 2 years in the making. So this is not something that you make a phone call and you make a
Yeah.
contact in 6 months later. This has been a very long project process. We started with an accelerator program that lasted 5 months. We worked with a team of they're for professionals from all over the world. We had two amazing mentors who still work with us and guide us and direct us. And, it was staff who raised their hands. I mean, Expedia went through management changes. They changed their CEOs.
Oh my gosh.
They went through major cuts with staff. They've gone through another cut. We had staff who stood up and said, this is important. We had managers say, this is the direction our company needs. But it's not a direction where this global company immediately is going to get return on investment. They are supporting and believing in our work, and that is starting with education. You say it all the time, Michelle. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And that has been the problem in creating this change of a more accessible world, a more accessible, hospitality community, more accessible lodging components. But because we don't know. So Expedia
Right.
says, all right, what don't we know? What do we need to know? So they hired us, come in. We created these educational modules. We worked with their different teams and what this looked like. And on May the 2nd of this year, we rolled out a campaign that goes to the heart of Verbo, which is the host. The host is
Yeah.
the one who has that accessible retreat, who has that accessible property or they have the property and they don't even know it's accessible, or they want it to be accessible. And what can we do? And it's those small changes, it's that information. And I just keep talking and don't even take a breath for you to make a comment because I get so excited
No,
about,
it's,
what Expedia is doing.
I think it's wonderful. I mean, it says so much about the company. So it's, and I'll also, just for everyone out there as we go through this conversation, and you'll be able to recognize the same opportunity is available for you, but you have to follow Expedia's example. And actually for you, the return can be overnight, these outdoor hospitality venues. But the fact is that education, this is what we've been trying to do for the last year coming on live. And it takes a long time for people to pay attention and then understand a little bit and then understand enough about why they should invest their time in learning more. Because what's in it for me is always the question everybody's asking. Well, why should I invest my time in caring about this. So
You
yeah,
know, so I applaud Expedia for taking
yeah,
this chance.
me
What
too.
again, there's so many, and we don't even have enough time to go over all the reasons why this is significant, but it's significant because one, they're the only global booking platform that is looking at accessibility broadly. We talk about it every month, and we talk about it's not just wheelchairs. I'm a wheelchair user. I have two boys with muscular dystrophy. I understand the importance of that, but there are walkers and crutches and people with canes who need, have needs that for accessibility. We have cognitive and sensory and vision and hearing, and Expedia goes, yeah, I get it because it's about the human. Where are we today in our life? And that changes. And by the grace of God, it will change and our needs change. It's interesting. I was listening to a podcast, and the guest and the host were talking about in our world today, if we don't pivot, if we don't change, and we stay in the past, we're not going to be able to move forward. And so Expedia has stepped forward to say, you know what? We're not going to go and live in this past where we haven't had the information and the resources to be inclusive. We have that now. And now we're pivoting and we're moving forward and we're looking at this broadly. What I like is, so on the Verbo website, there's what they call a landing page. And
Mm.
on this landing page is an informational graphic. It's like this three-tier house of what an accessible short-term rental would look like. And what I love about it is, and you'll appreciate this with the accessible retreat, they identify over 50 visual elements of accessibility. And it's
Oh,
things from mobility. They do a Hoyer lift in a bedroom. They do an elevator. They do a chair lift. They have under counter seating, but they
wow.
also include extra lighting for the visually impaired and the hearing impaired. They add a blender in the kitchen to mix food for somebody who might have a feeding tube. In the bathroom, they have an
Wow.
amputee that is holding onto a grab bar. So they really
Wow.
take this information and broadly give and share information about how we access for who we are.
That's amazing. There's so many directions we could go, but I
I
think
know.
I want to start with, or the first question in my mind is really how this affects you is around visibility, right? So let's talk a little bit about that. Like what's happening in the world right now in terms of what's available for these people and how much more visibility are you going to receive directly from this?
Well, and I look at, and this is a discussion and with other groups. And in fact, it was a discussion in a recent meeting where one of the participants in the meeting kept identifying these and those. And what about we? And because it's not necessarily, it's how we all benefit.
Yeah,
We benefit from me being at the table with other friends having a discussion. It benefits me as a wheelchair user to be able to go there. It benefits your grandmother in going to a vacation with you. So, how do we look at the visibility for all of us and
yeah,
the benefits for all of us? And that is the approach that we take in this campaign, a very inclusionary aspect of what accessibility looks like, and really not defining it to what has been known as a niche market. And it's really an effort that we all can relate to or will relate to
yeah.
and understand more
Yeah,
each
I
and
love that.
every
I
day.
really, I'm just thinking of what it does is it shines the light on the whole overall opportunity for everyone. So,
And this is why it's important, because this dialogue is happening, but historically, I mean, today we see it time and time again, wheelchair, wheelchair, wheelchair. Again,
right.
I get it. And then we see and hear autism. Get it, love it, include it. But
Hmm.
there's also, the walker inclusion and the vision inclusion and the dementia inclusion and the amputee inclusion. And that's what, it's opening our eyes. It's kind of when my cat wakes up from a nap, Luke is kind of like his eyes are like slowly opening and then they open. And it's kind of
Uh,
like your traveler, you kind of open your eyes and then as you learn more, they get bigger and bigger and then they're really wide and go, wow. And I feel like that's what this campaign is. That in
that's
our
so funny.
industry, we're kind of like closed with our eyes a little bit and made this, awareness just open your eyes broadly to this incredible. And it's not even incredible in a way. It's incredible that this company is embracing it, but what we're talking about isn't incredible. It's like we're not thinking that way. We don't think about, wow, an elevator is going to allow me to get up those stairs with my suitcases and coolers a lot easier. Oh, yeah.
Right.
And now Lorraine can come over and, she can make her famous some more dessert for us or, whatever that is. And that's what we hope to achieve. And more bookings and more travel and more
Right.
experiences and memories.
All of it. Something I've noticed in outdoor hospitality is that people, they think very incrementally. Like, how would you like to improve your property, the experience at your property? And they'll think of something like that, something little tiny, which is not insignificant. Okay, like let's add an event with like local farm to table F&B or something like that, which I'm not discounting the significance of that, but they just kind of take baby steps. And there's an opportunity here for outdoor hospitality where it can be like a quantum leap that will really affect your revenue, your marketing, I mean, everything about your location. Embracing this. Can we talk a little bit about that? And we can mention the accessible retreat. I don't think that's a no-no at all.
Oh, absolutely. It's a big no. It's a yes. It's
This is
interesting, Michelle.
the,
You must have
the
seen
bridge.
the infographic on Verbo because that's exactly what this is about. How small changes can have big impact.
Okay.
And those small changes can be sharing of information. I think I always get the aha moment when I say, "Do you have a concrete driveway?" Well, yes. It's like, well, do you put that in your listing? No, it's a concrete driveway. Well, for somebody that has mobility limitations, not stable on their feet, that's a really big deal. It's just information you already have. Or did you know you have a 31-inch door? You can buy a $5 hinge that will extend your door another inch and a half. So now, if you need a 32-inch door, you spent maybe, let's say, three hinges, $15. And now you can have access of 32 inches, even though your frame is at 31. It opens because a lot of
What?
times,
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Yeah.
so we talk about
Like, how
hinges.
would you know that?
Yeah, I know you because you go to Expedia and
It's
you
who
pay.
you know. Yeah.
But yeah, but again, so it is those small steps there, and you're absolutely right. It's like, all right, I'll try this, and
Mhm.
that's what we want people to do. We want them to, again, think about it. Think about how you have under counter kitchen lighting. You know what? That's really a big deal for people who are visually impaired and who are hearing impaired. The more they can see, the better they can read your lips. You know, the more lighting there is, somebody with visual impairments can better see, that article, that TV show. And so you
Right.
have that and you're going, really? Under counter lighting is a big deal? It is. And it's understanding that. And it doesn't always have to cost a lot of money. And
Right.
again, you said we didn't have to talk about the accessible retreat, but it's one of my
No,
favorite
we do.
subjects. And,
We
and what I
definitely
love
do.
about the accessible retreat too is that it has built in already these amenities. It has over 50 accessible features that you don't have to think about. It,
Exactly.
it's already there and it's included for visually hearing, mobility,
Yep.
cognitive issues. That is part of the unit. And why is it significant? Because, when we, started, this Expedia rollout, I'm looking at, okay, what does it really mean? Who are we reaching? Because everybody wants to know, well, how many people are you reaching? And it's like there are over 2 million listings on Expedia. Okay,
2
2 million.
million listings on
Right. Let's
Expedia. Okay.
And when you go to Verbo, it's not just the condo or a house at the beach. Outdoor hospitality world, they have cabins. They
Right.
say you have a cabin, you're in this outdoor space, we want to feature it and you can go there. But guess what? If you go and look for an accessible cabin, wah, wah, there
There
are
are none. Oh
I
my God.
know there's
Okay.
not. So this is the time.
This is a
Expedia is
right.
like 18 million visitors last year. 18 million visitors last year on Verbo. That's crazy. And then 200,
Oh
I have to
my
look at my
God.
notes, 257 million page views. Okay.
Okay, so outdoor hospitality campgrounds, RV
Yes.
resorts, glamping, dispersed hotel, whatever you call yourself, the number one thing when I'm talking to like really any manager of any property, what do you think they're looking for? Visibility and returning guests, marketing, like
More heads
how
on the
do we
beds, more
increase?
doors open.
Right, exactly. We want, I mean, this is a no-brainer. How can you not just look at this and say, okay, millions more people are going to know about us. Expedia is standing there with a spotlight ready to shine it on your property. And the accessible retreat is a done for you solution. It's just like within a couple of months, you can have this on your property. It increases. I mean, what do you think people are going to pay when there is so much scarcity for a
Well,
need?
and that's what I say to
More
investors.
is the answer.
Right.
More.
Well, I say two things. A, the return on investment for the accessible retreat. We initially looked at it with a 3.5 year return on investment. When we put it together, when we're looking at initial funding, is how can how long does it take to get your return on investment? You book it 300 days a year at $100 a night. And there you go. If
$100 a night.
$100 a night. So Randy had asked me, all right, what do our numbers look like? And I said, this is what I want. Because again, as we look at individual wealth, I look at individual wealth too growing for our disability community.
Mhm.
What can we afford? Right now, people are going, I can't afford much. So if you're in this space, increase your revenue by including people with disabilities. Take that revenue profit and put it aside for your accessible retreat. And before you know it, you'll have your current base and adding more through adding the accessible retreat. It really is simple
Yeah.
math, and I'm not a mathematician at all. I'm just like this person who has a goal and objective to increase, accessibility in the travel space for all of us. But it is a common sense in
Yeah.
how do we get that message out?
And people, so if you own a campground or an RV resort, whatever, dispersed hotel, anything in outdoor hospitality, and you put this accessible retreat on your property, what happens next? You get attention from Expedia, you get attention from becoming rentable, you get attention from us, you get attention from all the magazines that are just waiting on the periphery that we have connections with that want to promote this whole entire project. Like it's very meaningful and you open yourself up to what we were saying 70 million, but it's more than that. 70 million people in the United States that have just simply mobility issues. And there are how many short-term rentals right now? 12,
Um,
something like that across the United States.
um, mine two was it 2 million from Verbo.
No,
Two, 2 million
you,
listings.
but the stat that you've given me in the
Oh,
past,
in the past, there are
accessible.
1.5 unique short-term rentals in the United States, and less than 1% are accessible.
Exactly. So, and in terms of outdoor hospitality, the cabins, nothing is there right now on, that's what you're saying, right? On
There are really
media.
few,
Yeah.
and that's the
Oh,
challenge that we have. The examples aren't there. And so not
okay.
only is this a revenue producing source
Mm,
is by listing your property. Now the accessible retreat comes with a certification, so there you're already immediately going to be on the becoming rentable site.
yeah.
And if you list it on Verbo, you have that additional exposure as well.
Yeah.
And
Really.
for me, not only is that the benefit, but it's showing others. Again, what I like about what we're doing with Expedia and what we're doing with the Accessible Retreat is we show you the schematics. We show you what makes a difference. You can see it. And that people go, oh, I get it. And that's where we're going to have growth. And people go, well, wow, they had great success. Maybe I'll try it too. But if you don't try it, possibly others will try it. And that's the part of the challenge of creating this change. So we're starting with education, which I think is key. You
It's
don't know what you don't know. So we're teaching you. And now the next stage is being a part of the community, having your property listed and showing these small changes can bring more bookings, more travel, more memories.
all of these people, 70 million plus, 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 want to have outdoor experiences. And
You
all we're saying is this is hospitality. Let's provide those.
know,
And the first thing
absolutely.
to do it is like, where do I lay my head and how do I get there?
And if
Right?
you don't know how to get there, since it is live, reach out to Michelle or I,
Yeah.
because we can help you. And I mean, not necessarily, we can help provide information on accessibility
Yes.
and this reach of being a more inclusive hospitality world.
Yeah, so you're opening yourself up to just really providing hospitality, outdoor experiences. I know what I was going to say is, let's say I am one of those people that, gosh, I want to be in the outdoors. I want to have these experiences. And I've tried it a few times and it just wasn't worth the hassle because I'd get there and I couldn't get in or I couldn't get up or whatever the thing was that prevented me and just made it just not worth going. And now I go and I have a wonderful experience. What do I want to do now? I want to do it again. I want to come back and I want to explore other places. Now I have hope, thinking that there will be other places that have these provisions that make it a wonderful experience. So there's just a very underserved market. And it's such it's such an important thing for people to understand. We come on here every month and we were talking earlier, I'm like, maybe we need to come on every week, every day, but people need to hear this, that you're helping, you know, millions of people and yourself, and you're educating yourself about the future. And you got to think outside the box. We were also discussing that, like you wanted to talk a little bit about budgeting and how do we differentiate ourselves? Think outside of the box, be creative, be service minded. Most people in outdoor hospitality come with a big heart. You know, they want people to be in nature and they want to be hospitable. So, how do we do that?
Well, one of the things that we're doing at Becoming Rentable is, we've been working in the STR, short-term
Yeah.
rental industry now for 4 years. And, through the help of a lot of groups and this release with Expedia, we're looking at what is that next step of accessibility and reaching out to state parks. We feel that, we've had our proof of concept by working with Arkansas. We're in our second year and working with Arkansas State Parks. And we have a capstone student from the University of Arkansas in Jonesboro And she's working with us to create a tool on the accessibility of the park system. Because one of the things that, Michelle, to your point, that we're recognizing is through Mother Nature. In Arkansas, they've had tremendous rain. And so Katie went to go check out one of the parks on the accessibility. And it's like all the bathrooms were closed because they were underwater because of the floods. Some of the trails were closed because of the water. How do we, share information so that we have the most success? And part of that is we start with our lodging. For us, that's our business. For you, that's a big part of your business. And we look at, validating the information so it's correct. So you get to your lodge, your cabin, your accessible retreat, and there are no surprises. And then you want to look at, a trail, or to go to an element, a lake, go kayaking. How do we know what's available? And that's the information that we continue to move and grow with, to say, all right, parks, what can we do to bring more people to the state parks? Because budgets, hotels can be really expensive. So,
Yeah.
but yet we want to travel, and more people want to participate in the outdoors, really are grateful for the park system and Mother Nature and just the being outside. So what do we need? And that's what we're trying to do, is really look at this outdoor space in the park system
Mm.
and look at what the parks have to offer for our families, for our friends, for our people with disabilities, our seniors. We've talked about in many shows how our senior population is also growing to 70 million, and now 4.5 years from now. Are we prepared, for this influx of travelers who have the money and the time, but also, in a lot of cases, have needs of
Yeah.
accessibility? Can we fulfill
Has
those needs?
has Arkansas added accessible cabins?
So what Arkansas has done, we went in and we evaluated their cabin, yurts, and lodges. We certified 59 of their units as fully accessible. And we had ambassadors come out and share their experiences through content, social media, photography. This year, we have another team of ambassadors going. And what we're doing now is really looking at the experience aspect and
Right.
tracking that. And now through our capstone project of going in and creating a tool that helps to evaluate the level of accessibility. Arkansas has 52 parks. So when you think of a state park, you may think singularly. No, in Arkansas, there's 52 parks. In Pennsylvania, I think there's 180, 138 parks. So within a state, there are all these parks, and each
Right.
park offers something different. So how we create, it's like, what are they doing? Well, they need to know, first of all, what do they have? And then they need to know and see how that and what they need to plan for the next year in their budget. And that's through, you know, looking at, gosh, I didn't realize we don't have a Moby mat to get a wheelchair to our water park. We need to do that. So the evaluations of going into the parks help to further their accessibility efforts.
What about the national parks? Do
We
you?
personally have not gotten into the national parks. I do know that budget cuts have been horrific, as in 50% of budgets being cut. So we're seeing a lot of closures within the federal parks. Um, we
A
don't
lot of
have
closures of what? The campgrounds or the,
campgrounds, activities,
how does
trails.
that make any sense? Okay, that's another conversation,
It,
but
it's very unfortunate, but that's where we are. So,
when there are budget cuts and people are stressed, the number one thing they need and want is to get out in nature and be in community with their families. And that's why camping usually increases, like campgrounds, RV resorts, like it's a great time for to own a campground, you know? So that doesn't make any sense to me at all, why they would.
You know what? I do look at, I don't understand a lot of different things, and that's one I don't understand. But what I do understand is it doesn't make it less important. In fact,
No.
it provides this opportunity
Yep.
for our community, our states to elevate their awareness of what they have and be able
Exactly.
to promote that. So I look at how can we help you? How can we help you grow and provide a service to people within your state and people that want to come and visit your state?
And that's the question. How can we help you, all of you in outdoor hospitality, to understand the opportunity here and how you can be of service to so many people so simply? And
Can I add one thing before you close?
I'm not closing.
Okay, well, I know we're
We
almost at
have
that.
plenty of time.
Okay, I would
We're just
ask.
reiterating the same message yet again.
Okay. So, but you know what? You said, there are people who enjoy it. I would like to hear from families, from people with
Oh, yeah.
disabilities who have had these experiences, because
Yes.
it's through those. For example, we had somebody recently visit park. She's in a wheelchair. She wanted to go kayaking. They said, we have accessible kayaks. Awesome. But what they didn't say is you in the wheelchair who's by yourself, because she traveled by herself for the day, had to
Mhm.
physically get the accessible kayak off of the boathouse and then
Oh,
take it to the
what?
water and then return it and put it on the boathouse. That's the kind of information we want to know too. We
Seriously.
can't create change if we don't know what we don't know. So
Exactly.
we do want to understand, where did you have these awesome experiences? What challenges did you have?
Yeah,
Challenges mean opportunities.
that's right.
Opportunity results in growth. And
Yep.
so we love to share the stories. Again, good, bad, and ugly. Share your stories with us. It's those stories that show the impact and the need.
Wonderful. Yeah. It's a really exciting time, I think. I know there are a lot of challenges for everyone, in different aspects of just navigating life and business and everything right now. But I love what you said about the challenges are opportunities. And that's why we continue to come on, month after month, week after week, just to raise awareness, because so often it's like anything else. We hear something and we think, yeah, go, that's wonderful. I support that. But 10 minutes later, we forget all about it. So, like with anything, it's taking the information and the knowledge and then executing on that and taking the first step out of whatever your comfort zone is as an outdoor hospitality, manager, owner, or whatever. It takes courage. And then the more you know, the easier it is to make these decisions. And then you start to reap the benefits of it. And um, when you hear some of the stories about people who are having wonderful experiences, I just remember being at the Flying E Ranch in Arizona, and they just do like one event a year, I think it is. And I don't know which organization it's for, but it's people that are in wheelchairs and they help them get on a horse and go for a ride. And it's like this huge undertaking, and it changes people's lives to do these things. So you have an opportunity as an outdoor hospitality host to create magnificent experiences for people that will change everything. Like that's what the whole outdoor hospitality world is talking about now, transformation. It's no
Mm.
longer about just like experiential, it's like transformational experiences. And it doesn't have to be a horse ride. It can be, oh my gosh, I was able to get from my car onto this beautiful deck where I could spend half of my time outside and then I go into bed and it's easy and effortless compared to
Right.
what I've been used to. And I can hear the birds and I'm with my family, and usually I've been left behind because it was just too much trouble for them, you know? And I don't want to be a burden. I want to be a part of it all. And it is about inclusion. So let's do it like together. And we are here to help you. And Lorraine is just an endless wealth of information. And make the little changes, buy an accessible retreat or not, but we're here to serve you so
And
you can
share
serve
our
others.
information. I mean, maybe
Yeah,
this is
share.
not, something that personally is your passion, your interest, your desire. But if you feel that it is for somebody else, share what we're doing. And it is about collaboration together. I have no doubt that we can make a difference. We are making a difference. And that's what I love about working with Evolve Lodging to Expedia, is that
Yeah,
it's not a single effort, it's together.
it
And
is.
together we are moving this forward.
Together, we are moving this forward, but we
Yes.
need your help. We need your feedback. And honestly, when you were mentioning sharing, I think about this in terms of mental wellness all the time. Like, how, of the people you know, how many people need more than what they are receiving? Let's just put it that way. Like, all of us know someone who has a mobility issue of some sort.
And again, I even
I
go to
mean,
the mental health issue, not even just the mobility. I know with me with depression, I have my down days. And, where is that happy place for me? It's being near water, hearing the water, seeing the water. It can be a water fountain. It doesn't have to be the ocean or a lake. It could be a swimming pool. But for me, being close to water is really helps take me emotionally to a different place. And I do feel a peace about it. I feel a connection for me with God. I feel a connection with my angels, with my friends that are no longer with me. And when I leave that place, I am happier. So when I say a happy place, it's happy for a lot of reasons. Sometimes it's the independence, and sometimes it's the release of frustration and anxiety and other things, and then I'm at peace.
yeah. And May is actually Mental Health Awareness Month for those of you that are not aware. So it's appropriate that we're addressing this. And I mean, the science is there of what nature does for us. It just holds us, it heals us. Like, and all we're doing here is removing the barriers to wellness, to happiness, to joy. Like when you're always bumping up against, like, I'm trying to get there, and you have to struggle every step of the way. Like, why not be the outdoor hospitality venue that says, don't worry about it. We've got you covered. I mean, isn't that what hospitality is?
And
So removing the barriers. It is.
tomorrow's National um, Accessibility Awareness Day.
Ah,
So yes,
oh my gosh.
so
Okay.
it
So
is
we'll be
about.
coming back on tomorrow. No.
And so it is being aware. And honestly, I would say 100% of the people I know can benefit and do benefit from the outdoor space. Even my husband, he will go and mow the yard. Why? Not because he wants to, likes to, loves to, but he brings them outside, and being outside is really, he works from home and he's in our screened-in porch all the time throughout the
Yeah.
year because it's outside. And
Well, we're designed to be outside.
so it's but being aware. And sometimes
Yes.
we're not individually aware of what does bring us happiness because we're not given that opportunity.
Right.
And so by the access, it provides us opportunities.
Yeah, and again, I'm going to put the responsibility back on hospitality. That's what hospitality is. I mean, from the onset, it is about everyone is welcome to the table. That's what hospitality is. So if we are inadvertently, through our ignorance, shutting people out, it that's a mistake. And it's only through education that we can be aware of this and then start opening those doors to more people. If we work in hospitality, it's our responsibility and opportunity. So um, it's on you guys, you know.
But we're your supporters. We're holding you up.
Yeah, we want to
So
help. I
that's
mean, of
right.
course, it's all of, you know, it's a heart-filled industry.
It
You know,
is.
let's just bring more people to the outdoors. I know that the majority of clients that we've worked with at Evolve, they're all like that. Like they had an experience at one point in their life that transformed them, and they want nothing but to share that with other people. They don't realize the different, well, honestly, when you go into a development or something, you have no idea the obstacles that are going to come up to getting you to that fulfilled vision. But like you said, everything is an opportunity. So the more expansively we can think with our vision, the more people we include. And then it's that old, you know, the rising tide raises all the ships quotes that everybody overuses. But it's because it's legit, it's true. And that's
Okay, I'm going to share another idea just
okay.
because it comes in my mind. And Michelle, I know
Yeah.
we do have to do this weekly because you and I both are A, chatty Cathy's, B, these ideas pop in our head. But we've talked about the individual you, we've all talked about the hospitality, and we've
Yeah.
talked about collaboration and how do you achieve collaboration. Sometimes it is with your community and you are an organization, you have a community of faith and joining together and going, we have retreats for guests who come to visit us. Well, is your retreats or all your retreats accessible for your guest? And to think about it, broadly within your communities. If it's a work community, and you're bringing people together, do you have a space that is accessible for your employees to stay when they're coming to your office? You're a hospital and you have a foundation. Do you have a place for people who are going to stay in your hospital for a treatment and need to be there the night before? So our communities can come together very differently to create opportunities that benefit them and the experience that they're going to have.
Yeah. I think not only can they, but they must. We have to do it that way, like working together. Um, Otherwise, it's a hey, that sounds great, and then you're on to the next thing.
Mhm.
You know, like I said before, like people love to be inspired. They love to say, I support this, but actually executing on it is completely different story. And just, I mean, I'm repeating, being very redundant here, but we are here to support you in that and to just kind of hold your hand along the path to get there. There's so much good to be done.
Well, maybe the next time we can make our live session with pictures, a slide deck, and
Okay.
show ideas and stories
Yes. Oh,
and
let's do that.
what an accessible experience can look like, what it does look like. Let's find those successes and share them visually. They can still hear us gab,
So
but maybe.
anyone who's hearing this, share with us. Like we'd love to see what you've done, and we can reach out to some of the people we know and good experiences, bad experiences, just all of it. I think that's a wonderful idea. All right. And I think we're going to kind of wrap this up because we do go on, and I have another call. I'm sure you do as well. But I just extend to you such a big congratulations. Like it's such a big deal. You've been working toward this for a long time and the big organizations are not easy. Like you have to be persistent and have a lot of tenacity, which of course you do, and just you deserve this. It's really exciting for everyone.
I don't know that it's an individual deserve, but I do know our team has worked hard. And I guess the last thing, I'm now 63, I started this at 60, to say you do believe in something, don't let age get in your way. Because I think that there's a hesitancy there. Now, we talk a
It's
lot about,
ridiculous if you think
I
about it.
know, but that's why I say it. We
I
live
love
by
that you do.
example. And may that be another access as we go and celebrate tomorrow and
Yeah,
National Accessibility Awareness Day,
wonderful.
to be aware that your dreams come true. You can do what you want. And this is what we want, and hope that others will, be a part of the ride and the change that we hope to see.
Perfect. That's a beautiful note to end this on. And I hope everybody gets outside today and
Yes.
yeah, be in nature. Okay. Thank you, Lorraine. God
You're
bless you.
welcome.
Have
Until
a
next
beautiful
time.
day,